Hello. Good afternoon. Good night. Welcome to
Welcome back.
Cynispection. Welcome back after inexplicably being gone for what was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, life gets in the way sometimes, and
They don't
work,
get. We're
and
busy people. We're
we are
busy
busy people.
people.
This is
Like we
not
don't
our
have time.
only
Yes.
thing. We
We
have other
also
things.
sell. We sell burgers. And what
At
what what is
Bob's,
that made up business? What we can say?
I don't know.
What
We
would
work at Bob's
be
Burgers. That's what I would say. That's what
Bob's
we do for
Burgers?
a
That's very
living.
specific. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. It's specific
Uh,
without being specific.
right. Um, Well, let's deal with that. But
Yeah,
so Black Panther came out. What
we
other movie
watched
came
it.
out? We watched Black Panther. We're not going to talk about Black Panther. What other
Not at
movie? We
all.
watched something else. What did you watch?
We've been watching The Vow. I mean, we can talk about
The
that a little
Vow's
bit more.
great.
But yeah, The Vow is excellent. I'll take 5 seconds to plug that show. Highly, highly, highly. I was really doubtful, and I mean, I don't want to get into this too much, but I was really doubtful that the second season was going to be
Yes.
as good as the first because, generally speaking, docuseries suck after the first season.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent,
Excellent.
excellent. If
Excellent.
not as good as the first season, to be completely honest, it's really.
I think in some ways it's better.
I do too.
Like in some ways it's better than the first one. It's like they're just like the first one was like we're turning this into a review of the bow, but the first one started with like, look how happy we were in this
Utopia.
cult and whatever, and then slowly they were like towards like the dark shit.
Well, what I
This
like about
one,
this is like they just dive in, like you were
they
about
just
to
went
say.
right in, like this is the fucked up stuff.
But
Welcome.
also, after the end of the first season, you're sitting there and you're like, wow, that was super fucked up. It cannot get any more screwed up than that. And then you watch the second season and you're like, oh, the cast from the first season's not even really there anymore because they
No,
didn't even know what was
they
actually
didn't know
going
about
on.
this.
And
Yeah.
what was actually going on was 10 times worse than what you find out originally. So it's really good. Highly, highly recommend tuning into that and checking it out. But what we're here to talk about this week is the 1995 version of Village of the Damned, which is
1995.
not bad.
It's pretty good. I've become like a John Carpenter maniac. Junkie. I've been like obsessively watching and rewatching John Carpenter movies, getting them on Blu-ray. I got 2 books that talk about the movies. I mean, he's an interesting character. He made some of the best movies that inspired your favorite movies. You know what I mean? Like we talked about The Fog the other day and how much it inspired like movies like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And then
And his
you have
style
Halloween.
kind of has inspired a lot of different things over the course of film.
And something I've noticed with him, and it like spoilers for Village of the Damned, movie's 20-something years old, so whatever. But like 27 years old, that's insane. 27 years old. That's how old it is.
Yeah, this movie can not only legally drink, but
yeah, way past that. Yeah.
Way past that, yeah.
So his movies, I think all of his movies, most at least, maybe all. Yeah, not all of them, but most of them end with a sort of like what's going to happen now ending.
Almost a cliffhanger. Not a cliffhanger.
It's not a cliffhanger, but it's like what's going to happen now. Like the thing ends and you're like, okay, is the thing alive? Are these people the thing,
Yeah, I mean, we originally were going to watch this and the thing. So I ended up watching the thing again just because, and then ended up watching this. But yeah, all of his movies are the same thing.
Yes.
Halloween is the same thing.
Halloween. That's the point I was gonna make. Yeah, that's the point I was gonna make because people assume that Halloween is like it ends in a cliffhanger. It's meant to end like no, the movie's meant to be like Michael Myers is like a personification of evil, and when you think he died, then you look down. It's like, no, evil is everywhere. He could be anywhere. And there's shots of houses of the neighborhood. It's like, where is he? He could be anywhere. And then that's how it ends. Like he's just the evil that goes anywhere. And yeah.
That style's been been copied by one person very, very, very particularly, which is Christopher Nolan. And I know we talked about him a bit, but he does the same exact thing. Interstellar, Inception, Batman, actually The Dark Knight, and he did it with The Dark Knight Rises, where the ending could be the end. The Dark Knight Rises, of course, was the end of his trilogy, but all of his movies kind of end in that, like, will there be another one? Won't there be another one? And very more often than not, he doesn't like to do second movies. I mean, Tenet, another movie that he ended in a pseudo cliffhanger. So his last 3 movies are very much in that style. And I used to hate it. I honest to God used to hate that style of like leaving the thread just kind of frayed, right? Like it could go this way, it could go that way, it could go anyway.
Yes.
And now I really love it because I appreciate the simplicity that is in a single movie. This is the story beginning to end. And yeah, it's up to the viewer to kind of come up with their own interpretation of how it actually ended. I mean,
exactly. And this movie has probably some of the best, like the most, like John Carpenter, I'm fucking with your brain kind of situation.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the movie first, I guess, because we're not really. So I'm gonna describe the basics, and then we're gonna go to John explains the plot. Even though we watched it like 3 weeks ago, so let's see
I actually have a pretty good plot. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say the movie came out, like we said, 1995. Carpenter, right before this, he like the 90s weren't the best for him. His movies didn't do well. He did Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is so far, I think, out of the ones that I've seen, and I've seen all of them except for 2, I think. Memoirs of an Invisible Man was probably his worst one. So he was coming, from that. He had several flops with The Thing and Big Trouble in Little China. So he was like, I think here he was trying to play it safe. He was like, I'm just going to do a pretty standard creepy movie. And then he was like, and then I'm going to get the 2 guys who were stereotyped in their roles in the 80s and were never able to come back. And he got Christopher Reeve and he got Mark Hamill to be in this movie.
Funny enough, Mark Hamill plays Luke Skywalker in this movie, basically. Like it's
right, like Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi, where he's like a weirdo. Yeah. So anyway, with that, let's go to John explains the plot.
All right, so inexplicably, this town of people who you meet kind of in the beginning, and you get a couple characters, but there's nothing really there. This entire town of people kind of faints, and anybody that crosses this imaginary line that they put on the road just faints. And then after the government's there and they're like testing and everything, all of a sudden everybody wakes up. Everybody's fine except for one person who died, who you meet at the beginning of the movie, who's like the husband of this one woman. Anyway, in a chance of happenstance, every woman pretty much gets pregnant. If they're of childbearing years, after they faint, they become pregnant, including this one woman. And then she has David, I believe is the character's name, right?
Yeah.
And David is like one of these children. Now, all of these children are born, and they all look like Targaryens, basically. They're creepy because little kids generally kind of at this age are creepy.
I want to talk about the kids for a minute, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah. And these creepy little kids, people start mysteriously dying around them, which it's not mysterious. They're killing them. And
they make them kill themselves.
Yeah, they make them kill themselves. So they're not actually killing themselves. Like the kids aren't killing them and they're not actually killing themselves. It's this weird, like tangential area of like the kids are influencing them to kill themselves. Yeah. And the only way that they can get around this influence is to think really hard about something stupid like water or a wall. But we'll get into that later. So these kids, they get older, they start taking over the town, come to find out. And
by the way, they get older really fast. Like
fast.
They like, it's like they're babies and then they're like, what, 9 or 10?
Yeah, I don't think there's a time hop there. Maybe there should have been. I don't know.
I'm fine with no time hop, but it felt like a lot of things would have happened in those 9 years.
Yeah, you go from them being, well, and also the children aren't like growing at the same pace. because there's like the toddler in the high chair that like makes the Christopher Reeve's like wife put her arm in the boiling water.
Yes, that's pretty messed up.
And like as this baby is doing it, like this toddler is being carried in, even though they were all born on the same day. That's just a little like whatever. Anyway, so
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of like whatever there. But these kids are basically making people kill themselves. Anytime that somebody tells them to do something that they don't want to do, the person just goes and kills themselves, basically. Or if somebody like yells at the kids or anything, or calls them weird, or strikes one of the children or hurts anybody, or like is an affront to these children. So story goes along, and Kirstie Alley, weird enough, is in this movie, and she's not a spokesperson for Weight Watchers. She is just an actress, and she plays.
Was she a spokesperson for Weight Watchers?
Yeah, that's like her main thing for the last like 20 years.
You know, Rachel was watching it, and she was like, "Oh, she's in a Mary-Kate and Ashley movie."
Yeah. She's like,
I've never seen it, but that's what she knew her from, and I was like, "Oh God."
I think she was in like Look Who's Talking or something. I mean, like
she was in one of those. Yeah, she was in one of those.
A bunch of movies.
She's good in this one. She's probably the best character in the movie.
She plays I mean, she was big in like the 80s and 90s. Yeah, she was in Look Who's Talking. I was right. So she's a doctor who works for the government, and they give everybody an option once they get pregnant. 2 options, actually. 1, you can abort the child. 2, you can get paid an ungodly sum of money every month if you take care of this child. I think it's like $6,000 or something. Yeah. $3,000 or $6,000, something like that. But the reason I say it's ungodly, this takes place like, I guess, in the 90s, where so like today's equivalent of that would have been like saying, we'll give you like $15,000 a month if you keep the child. So kind of ridiculous, and kind of makes you think what's going on. Something else that's kind of funny about this is these events happened all over the world. I don't know if you caught, this was like a subplot of the movie. And Carpenter, I guess, didn't want to deal with it. So he just kind of like subtly put it there, but there was nothing like really to it. Anyway, so these kids, their plan is to take over the world, and turns out they're an invasion of some alien kind. And one of the babies, the only baby that didn't live, is like some weird, deformed, like big-headed alien baby. And
that was not explained, like why it became an alien baby instead of becoming a human.
I guess it just didn't fully form. The DNA didn't formally.
But he died at birth. He died at birth. Like he was ready to be born and then died at birth. You know what I mean? Like that was.
Yeah,
that was something I was like, you could have done without that.
So this is the thing. The movie has a couple, and that's the end of the movie. Basically, I'm not gonna. We'll get into like how it ends a little bit later, but. Basically, the children are going to take over Earth. It is Christopher Reeve's and Kirstie Alley's job to stop this from happening, because basically the aliens have seeded Earth with all of these little colonies of these weirdo children, these Targaryen weirdos, and they're going to kill us all.
But this is all done, like all that you're saying, the way you're describing it, because you're describing it like correctly, but it's like, it sounds like it's some sort of like Independence Day kind of vibe.
Yeah,
no, it's all kept like people just say this is happening, like very Carpenter-ish. Like he knew what to do with like a small budget, just like figure out stuff. You know, like you just like narrate. That's why kind of like what we were saying about the alien baby at the end felt kind of like not his best work, because he's usually very good at just giving you the information you need so you understand what's going on.
Yes.
Doesn't have to hit you in the face with it like we always rant, modern movies do. Like he actually, like they have enough conversations. They don't never say, hey, they're aliens. I'm sure they are. They're always like, well, they could be aliens. There's other theories, but you at some point you're like, yeah, they're aliens. Like you understand they're aliens.
Yeah, you understand they're aliens. They actually didn't even need to use
They didn't need to use the baby because at that point you were like, yeah, I know they're aliens. Like he didn't trust the audience to be like, yeah, I know these are aliens. Like, you know.
And that became kind of a problem later down the road, right? Like there's like all of these little things that Carpenter did. And I think that's why most people pan this movie pretty badly, is because of that, right? Like it does not have a great score on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. I think, it's Metacritic. It's a 41 or.
Well, it was destroyed upon release. It's gotten a bit of people that some people follow it and like it, like most Carpenter movies.
Yeah.
But
this one seemed a little bit more
expected
messy than most Carpenter movies. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, but it's some of the plot points and little things are just kind of like scattered about. And I wonder if that's because like this isn't an original movie. By the way, this is a remake. Let's all like say that. And Carpenter.
But so is The Thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, what it feels a bit weird about Carpenter is the cinematography. He's usually very good at playing with shadow and, you know, like limited lighting, especially in Halloween, for example, or The Thing. Like, because The Thing, like, you have these ridiculous, like, puppets and, you know, like, but he lights them so well, and he puts, you know, he makes it look like you don't see everything. So you can't tell it's a puppet.
And that's why I think that his movies did so well in the 80s. This movie does not hide things very much, I don't think. Like
it doesn't exactly. It's all shot in daylight in like this California town. It's like super sunny.
And
they could have played a bit with
the eyes. I actually don't like the eyes in the movie. I think
the eyes effect was bad. Yeah, it was a bad effect. They took it too far. It looks over the top.
I think a standard Carpenter zoom, like on the child, like while it's concentrating, or like a cutback scene where like it's a little bit closer and you can tell that the child is concentrated, would have been more of his style. Carpenter's known for not showing things on screen. Like, I mean, most of the things happen off screen and then you kind of see it. Like in The Thing,
he shows the minimum so your imagination fills
fills in the gaps. Yeah, correct.
Like that's kind of like the way he does it in this one. It's not his finest work. I don't believe it's a bad movie. I actually really enjoyed it. Like I like seeing Christopher Reeve, you know, because he was such a positive, like good vibe kind of guy. Like, you know,
and
of course,
spoilers, like, you know, he sacrifices himself at the end of the movie to save like everyone.
Yeah.
Including like Christy Alley and David. Or no, Christy Alley's killed by the children.
Christy Alley's killed. Everybody.
Mark Hamill that is actually
like the only killed.
Yeah, that is the only. That's the only scene that I felt lacked the correct like lead in. So when Mark Hamill kills himself with the gun, that is a very, very Carpenter lead in to what happens. The gun's put there. You hear the gunshot off screen. And like nothing is shown, like there's no gratuitous violence or anything. In a modern movie, that would have been shown. But
yeah, it's also interesting because I felt that's also something I felt like it was probably a studio note that, like, there's many like gratuitous, not violence but kills, like to keep people like interested. Like there's that janitor, or what is he? He's a janitor at school.
That made no sense like, in the movie at all.
He's just insulting them for no reason.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill is set up as this, like, I thought it was going to be more of a religious conflict, or, you know, who are these kids? But all of a sudden he shows up with a gun. Like, those are the things that you're like, probably the studio was like, no, you need to put a couple more deaths here because the movie's like, you know, not running well, so you need people to be interested. And that was a bit of, you know, at that point the kids kill people.
The janitor scene made no sense at all.
No,
honestly.
And there was somebody else they killed. Like, well, so she kills her, like the main girl, Christopher Reeve's daughter. What was her name? Do you have it?
Yeah. Hang on, Christopher Reeve's daughter?
Yeah, she's the main evil girl.
Oh, yeah. What is her name? Oh, crap. I'm looking it up now.
Kayla or something?
Yeah. She's not on the main. They just have first names for them, don't they?
This is very professional.
Mara,
to be Googling
right?
Stuff.
No, it's Mara.
Mara. See, that's right. Mara is like, she kills her mom. That's kind of like the premise, like how they tell you there's something wrong with these kids, you know.
But first she tortures her mom before she kills her.
Exactly, and then
a pretty gruesome on-screen torture scene.
And actually, I'm seeing, you know, this movie was right after, like, I forgot that Carpenter, before Memoirs of an Invisible Man and this one, he made a movie called In the Mouth of Madness, which is really, really good. Like, that one's like 80s level Carpenter. Sam Neill is in it. And it's pretty good. So, yeah, he had a bit of a, I mean, he had ups and downs.
Yeah, I guess he had a loop, yeah.
But it you know, back to, you know, the story, like, yeah, there's some sloppy execution, I feel, in some parts of it. Like, you know, you feel like some things were not properly set up all the way, or at all.
He does come right in at like the perfect mark for me, which I mean, if you listen to our podcast before, or you know me, 90 minutes is like a perfect movie, unless it better be fucking amazing to be longer than 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So he comes,
Marvel.
Listen,
are you
please.
listening,
like,
Marvel?
Actually, they should go back and follow their own advice, because if you look at like all of the original movies, they were like between an hour 30 to 2 hour runtime. Nothing exceeded 2 hours. Anyway,
the original, you mean like
like Iron Man, Iron Man 4, Captain America, even the first Avengers that came out was only like a little over a 2 hour runtime, and that's pretty big for a team up movie of that size. Right. Anyway, 90-minute runtime is perfect for me. I think that, like you said, either a studio or somebody got involved, because there were scenes that didn't need to be there, and there were scenes that could have been there to suss out things a little bit better.
You know what was really
if you're
well
going to
done?
include the alien baby, then the only reason for the alien baby is to get us to that like clinic / school so that she can be killed. Like, you could have killed her anywhere.
You could have killed her. They would have killed her. Like, you could tell that there was like.
And Christopher Reeve's character knew that they were weird. You didn't have to explicitly say like, "Look, I have an alien-looking baby."
Yeah.
You could have just said, "We believe that these children are, whatever."
They're from the village of the damned. I mean, it's what I think was really well done. Probably the best part was the conflict of this kid David, and why he ends up, again, spoilers, he ends up being potentially good. But that's another, like, the ending is a Carpenter ending, which is like it ends with like you think he's good, but then the shot on his face, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, kid's kind of evil.
People are, he's kind of evil. Like, you think he's good for the whole film, but it's like probably not.
I mean, the thing is he never killed anybody. I don't think I saw David kill anybody, like, specifically. Matter of fact, during one of the scenes where I think it's the janitor scene, like, he backs off of killing the janitor. So like there is like that built in there, and maybe that's why Carpenter used those scenes. Honestly, I don't know. The janitor scene is worthless. Even the killing of the mother scene is kind of like, all right, we know that the kids kill people.
I mean, that was the setup, though. That was the first kill. So we were like, okay.
That was the first kill that we knew about on screen. That was the first on-screen kill.
It also affects Christopher Reeve for the rest of the film.
Yeah,
I was okay with that one.
So what I didn't, so I understand why they did it, because that like frees him up to kill himself at the end of the movie, or to become a martyr at the end of the movie. But it just, I don't know, it seemed kind of weird that she just kept putting her arm back in, like she kept being compelled even after the weird eyes went away. Also, that was my one problem with the eyes. There was no consistency of what the different colors of their eyes meant. It was just like, okay, their eyes are glowing, so they're doing something evil.
Right. And then, so you were saying kids are creepy, the kids are famous creepy. I found myself, and this happens to me in every movie where a kid is the villain. I mean, kids are cute. They're, they're kids, and they're like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, it's just they're children. Like, it's rare for me to be like, holy crap, that kid. Like maybe The Shining, the twin girls in The Shining. Yeah, but other than that, like here, I found myself at times I was like, that's just a kid in a wig. Like why would I be afraid of a kid in a wig?
Because their eyes glow. That's the only reason. Because they make people kill themselves and their eyes glow.
The main girl, like, she's a good actress. She's still acting, by the way. Like I was looking it up, and some of these kids are still acting. The guy who plays David is actually. Did you ever see Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles?
Yes, I did.
He's the guy who played John Connor in that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she's the girl who was the main in this movie. Mara has done a lot, actually. Like she was a regular on a couple series. So, yeah, it's interesting that a lot of these kids actually are still working and doing things. Yeah. But, I mean, they didn't have this movie didn't do well. It didn't launch their careers or catapult them. They're not the next Harry Potter. So it, maybe they just went on and carried on with a normal life and just became actors. Normally.
I mean, they had some roles here or there. Like some of them are, like Mara is like now
she
grown up actress. She's in stuff, maybe not in then
Let's talk about
Stranger Things or whatever. But she's good. Yeah.
Let's talk about Hamill though. Like this just felt it felt very shoehorned in. Honestly, it did not feel like the character even needed to be in the movie, let alone.
And it's distracting because it's Hamill.
Yeah,
like it's what's a bit sad. Like you think about like these actors who played superheroes in the 80s or stuff like that. They would often be like stereotyped in their roles. Like they would be like, oh, that's the guy from Superman. That's the guy from Star Wars. That's you know. It doesn't happen anymore right now. Actually, like actors do,
they do comic book movies to be able to launch their careers. Yeah,
no, and then they do their indies and they get an Oscar nomination. Like that's what they like. Jennifer Lawrence was doing Mystique, and at the same time she got an Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook or whatever. Like there's so many of them.
I mean, the big thing with Hamill is outside of Star Wars, he's actually super accomplished. But no one knows that Hamill is super accomplished.
Well, he did like voice work and stuff. Right?
A ton of voice work and like very, very successful voice work of things that we would know. Like the Joker. Like the Joker. I mean, that's a huge one right there. He's done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He did. I mean, and this is like recent. He's been doing the Joker. I mean, all through our childhood, he did an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants. Like he does a lot of voice work all over the place. So his career is definitely never slowed down. It's just not in a way that we really understood it, I guess.
Yeah. And I think Christopher Reeve did something similar. He did like mostly indies and stuff like that. He was like, no, screw it, I'm gonna do my own thing. Yeah. And all the power to them. Mark Hamill came back to Star Wars. He actually had pretty good performance. He did.
Yeah. I mean, he actually nailed. Honestly, he nailed. Except for The Last Jedi, I don't think that Luke would be so crotchety. He was kind of Yoda-y. But anyway, I
don't start with Star Wars discussions. Leave me alone.
We won't. But I will say that he just. I don't think that he really belonged in. Not saying that he gave a bad performance. It just like took away from that. Could have been any Reverend anywhere, and it would have been fine.
It should have been fleshed out better. Should have been fleshed out better.
Well, I mean, if you want to bring a character in like that, and you're going to use his star power, especially in 1995. You're still Luke Skywalker in 1995. I mean, even that's 10 years after. That's like the heart of the special edition. After. Yeah, well, the special edition was coming out right then. That's when everybody
bringing in. It's like bringing in Robert Downey Jr. right now for a movie. Like, he's still Iron Man, even though he's yeah. Anyway, Carpenter is great. This is not his best, but I think it's definitely worth watching.
I would say it's definitely worth watching. I don't think it's like a must watch, but if you're trying to like round out your film knowledge, I definitely think this is up there. It's not something that I would say like run out and go watch it tomorrow, but it's pretty good.
And full disclosure, like we decided to watch this one because in our last episode, which was whatever many weeks ago, Manda was here, and I wanted Manda to watch some John Carpenter, and we just thought The Thing, but The Thing you and I have seen, and we both love it, so we just praising it. We're like, well, let's try a Carpenter movie that we don't know if it'll be good, so we have a bit more to talk about. And Amanda did not end up watching either one of them, and then then here we are. So we'll pick something different next time.
Probably something just as crazy and off the wall, hopefully.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah. All right, John. That's it. We want to go over 90 minutes, like John Carpenter.
Yeah, let's show let's show a little restraint in which Disney can't with Indiana Jones because they had to de-age yet another famous Star Wars person.
I know. It's like
what's funny? Disney has now de-aged every single one of the main casts of Star Wars. They did it for
that's true.
They did it for Hamill, and now they've done it for
the Harrison Ford, and they do for James Earl Jones. They do like
he's AI voice now. Darth Vader is now 100% AI voice.
But I'm feeling like I don't care about I don't care about Indiana Jones like movies, the new ones anymore. It's like if it sucks, I'll be like,
Well,
I
here's
guess
the
it
thing.
sucked. If it's great, I'll be like, okay. Like I just don't
If
care.
anything that I've kind of like grasped onto or realized recently, there is such a thing as too much nostalgia, and like I only have so many dollars that I'm going to put toward nostalgia, and now all my money is going to go towards things like John Wick Chapter 4, which yes is another sequel, but at least it's something somewhat original and not just like a rehashed version of something from 30 years ago. And I would love to see more like movies like that. Bullet Train was a great example, but I'd like to see more and more movies that aren't just rehashing of a character that I loved when I was a kid. So you want to take my money. Like, take my money at the amusement park. Stop rehashing these characters. I will watch Star Wars on my own without you having to bring out a new one. Like, I will just continually watch Star Wars, or I would have until now, where I've had overload. And now I'm getting to the point where, yeah, exactly.
It's just like I don't want to see any more of these. I'm just tired of the same things. Like, well, we talked about this too. Speaking like this comes full circle because like they're remaking Escape from New York, and it's like we reviewed Escape from New York here.
We did.
One of my favorite Carpenter movies. It's really really good.
Yep.
It's like what is the practical need of remaking Escape from New York? Like what is like people are not nostalgic for John Carpenter. Like it's a very niche audience. Like you have it if you had he hasn't made a movie in 12 years. But if you had John Carpenter come in and make a movie that is not called Halloween something, most people would not care. Like they would be like his style, he doesn't like have the or whatever. Like
I don't think anybody knows who John Carpenter is anymore, to be quite honest, unless you're probably above the age of 35 or
a small niche.
Yeah,
a small niche of people. Like you and me.
Yeah.
You and me had barely seen most of Carpenter's movies before a couple of years ago or whatever. Like, you know,
I mean,
like
I'd seen like Escape from New York, Escape from LA because I got bored and watched them, you know, like
Halloween.
But I didn't watch them out of like, oh, I'm gonna watch a John Carpenter movie. I just watched them because like, hey, this is a classic movie that you should watch.
Yes. And we watched Ghost of Mars. Yeah, but most people, and then you're like, we gotta remake Escape from New York. It's like,
there's no need to remake.
Why? And they're gonna make this whole social commentary that's gonna be like right in your face, and it's like
beating you over the head with something.
Beating over your head with like, there's something here, like, you know, it's just preachy. And anyway, this is our rant every week, but well, this is different. We're ranting about remakes on nostalgia. This is a bit different from filmmaking style. You sent me this article, right? Like Tarantino said this is the worst era of cinema.
Yes.
So, and I don't agree. There's some good stuff coming out. There's some really good stuff coming out.
So I understand more the point, and like to not take us too far on a tangent because we haven't done this in a while, but the amount of decent cinema that we get is so few and far between now that like it's not even like one a year. I don't know how. To be quite honest, like great, they're going to hold the Oscars. They're going to give a bunch of Oscars to movies that I've never heard of that I can't see anymore because they're only on a super limited release, and I try to find them and I can't. And then for mainstream cinema, what I'm getting, you know, one movie a month I can go see that is really good.
But we're also, I think we're complaining about the problem, but both you and I are a part of the problem.
Yeah,
because for example, we went to see Black Adam as soon as it came out, right? And Black Adam is like evidence, like it's the best example of the trash right now. But for example, a movie came out this weekend called She Said, which is about the Harvey Weinstein takedown.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen it. You did not see it either.
No.
And I had barely heard of it. I don't think it was advertised very much. But when I saw that it bombed, I was like, "What is this movie?" I watched the trailer. It actually looks like the vibe is like All the President's Men. Have you seen All the President's Men?
Yes, I have.
And Spotlight and those journalism movies are really good.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks great, and I have tickets to watch it Wednesday. But like, I didn't rush out to watch it. I rushed out to watch fucking Black Adam. You know, like we complain
because studios don't put any money behind. Yeah. The funny thing is, this could have been one of the big three studios. I think it's only 3 now, right? Yeah. This could have been one of the big 3 studios, and we would never have known because they put zero marketing budget. Yeah, there's no Fox anymore. So it's Sony,
Warner,
Universal,
Disney.
So there's 4.
Warner, Sony, Universal, Disney, and Lionsgate, but they barely have anything.
Yeah, they're not making it. So it's 4 now. Because Fox is gone. So
but the thing is also like some really good movies get sent straight to streaming, you know, and like catching them sometimes it's kind of hard, you know, like did you watch like did we review Prey? I don't think we reviewed it.
We didn't review it, but
it was a good movie.
We review it? Anyway, it was a great movie.
That was a great movie, but maybe people, the Pinhead remake, I didn't even watch.
No, I didn't.
More remakes, but whatever. They're making an Alien movie. Did you see that? They're making a new Alien movie. But anyway, Prey was great. Prey was great. I mean,
let's leave it on a good note. Prey was great. John Carpenter is great. Don't remake his movies anymore. Please stop remaking them. The Fog, Escape from New York, Halloween. Please stop remaking his movies. Let us just enjoy what was done back then because they are excellent. And yeah.
The more we look at the future, the more we find ourselves looking at the past and watching older movies. Is that the slogan for this show?
That should be.
Maybe we're getting old. Maybe we're getting old.
Oh, we're definitely getting old. We've been doing this for way too long now. So
we've been doing this for way too long. We should go back to just you and me texting about movies. All right. Well, John, I'll see you next week. We won't give our Twitter handles. Nobody follows us.
Nobody follows Twitter anymore anyway. Like and subscribe to us.
There's a crisis on Twitter. Yeah, that is important. Like and subscribe. See you
soon.
Maybe next week. See you then. Bye.